Good afternoon, everyone. This is Scott, and welcome to the trade report video for the week of November 20th, 2016. So in today's video, I want to go over the major indexes, and then we'll go over the top trade ideas for Monday, and then we'll take a look at some of the stocks that were on our watch list from last week and how that played out. So first up here, I just wanted to show the IWM, which is the Russell 2000 ETF here, and just kind of show that this thing is broken out into all-time high territory. It broke through this 126 spot, and it just looks, it's very strong here. It looks like it's continuing to make new highs here. So this rally that started when Trump was elected is continuing to go higher, and as far as I can tell, the market looks very strong. There's strength across the board in biotechs and the financials, and so there's still a lot of strength in the market. Some people may say it's overbought, but to me, there's still plenty of setups out there that I'm finding. So anyway, there's the IWM. Let's see real quick, the SPY. It's also, still looks great here since this gap up on Trump's election, and it's not at all-time highs, but it's up here. Looks like it may want to break through this recent high up here near 219. So SPY looks great. IWM looks great, so I'm still bullish on the market at this point. So next up, I was going to walk through each of the names on our top trade idea list that I posted for Monday. So first up here is H&R. So H&R is an oil play, and this one had a nice ascending triangle pattern. Just real quick, let's draw a trend line. Basically right around this 450 spot, and it's tested this spot a couple of times, had a false breakout a few days ago, and this is also, there was a question that was sent to me about, he basically bought this stock as it was breaking through the 450 up here at 458, and then it kind of faded back and didn't hold, and then it pulled back for a couple days, but that's not a real reason to be concerned. Sometimes when you enter these patterns, it takes a couple of days for the breakout to actually stick. But as long as this lower support trend line or your stop level, in this case, you've got a clear support line here, and as long as this isn't breached or it doesn't close below that, then you're good. On this day, it poked through intraday, but then it closed back up there. So this pattern is still intact, and it still looks great. It actually closed above 450 on Friday. I think this is a really great looking chart for next week. I think this one's going to finally break and hold above this 450 spot and have a nice push. So I really like H&R there. Next up is IPCI. So this chart here it didn't actually close at 320 on Friday. It actually closed around 311. So this is E-Trade Pro. I guess there was some after hours movement in this stock, but it's clearly IPCI is an excellent looking setup. I'm still long this stock. I bought it at 295 on Friday, which is where I alerted everybody in the morning, where I entered here. And it had a big break, closed above this $3 spot, which is the original pivot point, or this was the most recent pivot point right through this recent high, okay? And that was, the first trigger, basically right around $3 a share. And, here's kind of my risk level off of this little trend line here. And then the next spot is this 320 spot. So I think this one's going to break 320. It had big volume on Friday, and I think this one's going to new highs. So I'm still remaining long this IPCI. Still really like this setup. It's a healthcare stock. Next up is ATRS. So the ATRS has been on our watch list for a while now, and ever since it basically was heading up here near 180 spot, and it broke through this spot is where I thought this thing was going to go higher. And so I forget exactly where I entered at. I think I bought it on the close of this day here, or maybe on right around this 180 spot, because it was a very important level. And as it broke through that, that's when I wanted to get long. And so it had this breakout, and I've been holding it ever since then. It had a brief pullback all the way, 182, I think, but it still held above this 180 spot. So I wasn't really concerned as long as it holds that that breakout level on these pullbacks, and I'm still going to maintain my position. And then Friday had a nice volume spike and closed up here. Got as high as 197 intraday. Really like this one. I'm still long it. I think we get to $2, maybe 220, something like that. So this ATRS I really like. It's also healthcare / biotech stock. So that one looks great. ARRY has been a fantastic mover since it broke out through this $7 spot. Another one that I've really been alerting everybody in the private Twitter, and it's been on the watch list for a while. So ever since it gapped up here and it's been right in this area, I got long looking for this 7 break, and it took a few days, and then finally some volume came in. It broke, made new 52-week highs through the 727, and then just nice continuation on good volume on Friday. So this one is near $8, so it's been a nice mover so far. There's no sign of weakness at this point, although it could be getting extended here as it gets through 8, you know, but I still remain long. And so this one still looks great, this ARRY. If you're looking to enter it, it may be a little bit extended for an entry at this point, but this one is very strong, and I like this one for higher. So I'm still long this stock, although I may take some partial profits on Monday if it gaps up. Next up is Box. So Box is a new name to the watch list. Basically, it had this. It's right here at this recent pivot high at right on this 1530 area. So right here, it ramped up, broke through it, failed it, and then tested it again here, had a slight pullback, and then now it looks like it wants to break through this recent high. So I think this one looks great for a breakout through this 1530 area, and then potentially a retest of possibly even 1650 in the coming week or two. So Box looks really good. Taco is a very nice looking ascending triangle pattern. It's in the basically it's a restaurant stock, and a lot of these restaurant stocks have really looked have some really nice patterns on them. Wendy's WEN had a very nice breakout. That was on our watch list I think last week or the week before, but basically right here through this 1425 spot, it was it was the high here on the gap up day, and then it tested it, tried to break it, had a couple poke throughs, failed, and then put in this higher low. So you got a clear risk level here, maybe off of 14, and then this one looks like it could break 1450 and then make a nice pop through there. So I really like Taco here. And just for kicks, let's show Wendy's. So Wendy's had a clear basing pattern here at $11, and then it broke through 11, and then basically it's been straight up since then. So it's all, I mean, it's a slow mover, so it took 10 plus days to actually get to 12, but the restaurant stocks, the restaurant sector has been strong lately too. So LMAT, this is another healthcare stock. It remains on our watch list because it continues to put in these higher highs and higher lows. And so just real quick here, I still like this one. Here's the 22 spot here, the original breakout, okay, and then it ramped up, had a pullback to 22, which provided a good entry on a pullback, breakout pullback setup right here, and then it just ramped up, broke through the recent highs, and now it's up here at 24.67. So this one just keeps the stair stepping higher. It's in the healthcare sector, so which is strong right now. And LMAT, I think, also looks great here. I think that one's going to go higher. OCLR, this one was a nice stock here. I did make one trade on this stock, although I basically bought it on this day here, Thursday, and I was looking for an end-of-day ramp up, which didn't happen, but it did happen the next day. So I was a little bit early, and then I closed the position out because it was basically intraday margin that I was trading on, so I wanted to close the position out. But this one had a clear spot, basically at 925 breakout. Okay, let's see, I'm going a little closer here. So right around this 925, 930 area, right? And so it had a nice breakout, close right here, and then even on Friday, it had a pullback to that area, which provided a good entry. I think this one is also going to go higher. It broke these recent highs here, and it tested this breakout level a couple of times, and then it closed basically on its highs there. So OCLR, this one also looks good. So Mosaic is a new one to the list here. So looking at this chart here, this one had a nice, basically a head and shoulders pattern, a bottom. So it's a key reversal pattern. Here's basically the left shoulder, here's the head, and then the right shoulder is right here, which is the first, higher low. And then once it breaks through this neckline here, that's the sign of the trend is changing from down to up. So this one ramped up for three days and then consolidated. And then so now it's ramping back up and trying to break out through this recent high here. And so Mosaic, I think this one breaks basically this this recent high here, maybe around 28.50, and that would be your trigger to buy this one. So I like Mosaic, and just to see, you know, I had a nice downtrend and then reversal here. So I think this one could go back to 30, you know, maybe 30.10, somewhere in that area. So, you know, this could be a nice trade. Las Vegas Sands LVS, you know, had basically it's a basing pattern here, had a clear breakout, basically through 60, and the depth of this pattern is say 56 to 60, so 4 points. So if you were trading that, you know, you could buy it here on this breakout, which it finally closed above that, and then, you know, your first target would be 64. Just add the depth of the pattern to 60, and that would give you your first price target. Let's see. Okay, so WDC here, this has been also on our watch list for a few times. So basically 60 was a spot here, even though here, you know, intraday here, it spiked through it, closed back below it. And then on Friday, it actually did close above 60, which is the first time. So this is actually a breakout, and you know, it's basically, you know, here's your trend line, somewhere like this area right here, or actually, you know, you may be able to just kind of do it like that. You know, that'd be your kind of support level, and then your breakout here at 60, which it closed above it. So if you're trading this, you know, this pattern, the depth of this pattern, basically you take an average, so maybe 56 is the depth to 60, so another one you'd add 4 points, give you a 64 target, first target on this one here. So WDC looks good going into Monday. CDXS, this one, another, once again, it's kind of an ascending triangle type pattern, but it's got this recent high, which is, this is where I'm focusing on, at this 520 spot. You know, it tested it, ramped up, pulled back, tested it again, and it just kind of continues to grind higher. Something like this would be your support level. So I would wait here on this one, and if it tests this 520 and breaks it, that'd be the trigger to buy. And I think it could do that. It's in the right sector. It's a biotech, which is strong right now. So CDXS is another one. You know, it's got some room to move here, but you know, if it gets to 520, it's definitely going to be on my radar for a buy as it breaks through that. CTRV looks really, really good. This one has, I've been watching it for a while, and it's just kind of pulled back here, and it's been consolidating sideways over the last several weeks here. The key breakout level is 240, somewhere in this area here. You know, basically it ramped up close to that, faded, ramped up, faded, and then now it's finally kind of had a nice volume spike on Friday. See that relative to its previous 20-day volume here? See that big green bar there? So that one moved up really nicely. I think this one's a great buy here with your risk off of maybe, you know, maybe put a 5% risk on it off your entry point. But I think this one's going to go to 240 and then possibly, you know, maybe even new highs here. So this one, CTRV, is a very great looking setup here. It's in the biotech sector, and it's a top watch for Monday. So let's see here. So I'd kind of use something like this maybe as my risk level. Maybe use $2 as your risk if you enter, and you know, if it fades, you know, below 2, then you just cut your loss. But good risk reward here on this CTRV. MU, another one here from the watch list, had a clean break through this 18 spot, okay, and then now it's up here at 1928. So had a very nice breakout, and then actually closed near the high of the day on Friday. So looking at the depth of this pattern, I would say this one's, you know, let's call it 16.2 to 18. So that's $2.20. So add that there. They give you a $22, you know, or $20.20 target, first target, which doesn't mean it's not going to go higher. Just means that'd be the first level if you were going to scale out or take some partial profits, and then, you know, you can let you can hold a piece for a larger move, which often happens too. So MU still looks great. EMKR, this is a new one to the watch list. Once again, it's basically got this nice little resistance. Well, the resistance kind of goes just maybe with this little flag area right here, you know, but to me it looks like kind of an ascending triangle type pattern. So something like this. If you're going to enter it, maybe use 660 as your risk, but this one looks like it could break out of this little pattern here and go higher. ACAD is a biotech stock. It's been in a long downtrend, had this huge gap up on the Trump news, tested 30, pulled back, put in a higher low, and now it looks like it's trying to test that 30 spot again. So I would look to enter maybe basically on a breakout through the 30 spot if you can get through that. 30, that would be a trigger to go long here on this ACAD. Okay, and the last one from our top trade ideas is CUTR. So basically around 1450 was the breakout level. That was the resistance. Let's see. Right in here, in this area here. And then it tested it again here, and then put in a higher low, and then tried to break it. And so it's above the 1450, which I'm considering the breakout level. And so it's still a very early breakout. And you know, this would be kind of your risk level here. So if you're going to enter now, use the breakout of 1450 as your risk level, and this one looks like it's going to clear this and start heading, breaking out of this consolidation pattern here. So CUTR looks great. All right, so that's it for the top watch list. Now I'm going to go over some other trades, another list of stocks that some were on our watch list last week or the week before. And some of them are, just other names that look good going into next week that weren't on the top trade idea list. So first off is AAOI. So this one was on our watch list, I think last week or the week before, and it had this breakout through this little pattern right here. Okay, so then it broke out, and then, kind of here's your trend line support. Okay, so this is a good example of when you have these kind of ascending triangles or these rising trend line support levels, how as a stock breaks out, you can use that level as your risk. So as long as the stock maintains above that level, you can just continue holding the stock. And this one had this breakout, had a couple days, pull back, and then it just continues higher here. So AAOI has been a nice runner so far if you were to buy this one on the breakout for a swing trade. And so I think this is a good example of how you can use these rising trend lines as your risk level on the breakout. Okay, so next up, AXIM. This was a weed play that I alerted in chat. Had a clean break here through basically $5, and none of the other weed plays, at least the domestic plays, look any good right now. They're all in this very choppy, nasty stage, which it's not tradable as far as I can tell. The Canadian weed plays still look pretty good, but all the domestic ones look just, the trend's not there right now, so it's best to stay away from them. But this one, as it broke through $5, that was a breakout technically, and this thing just ramped up intraday within a few, very short amount of time, all the way to 880. So it, nearly doubled. And I know at least one subscriber caught a big piece of this and made about 40% in one day, or within 20 minutes of this breakout. So just kind of show you here that, these technical breakouts, whether they're OTCs or they're listed stocks, this is what can happen. You get the breakout with a big volume, and these things can really make some nice moves. And this one, I'm not going to be trading it right now. It's going to have to show, a tradable pattern set up again. But, this breakout of 5 was just fantastic, and it had a nice move through there. BCOR. This is another one that was on our watch list, and basically the pattern here was this nice little ascending triangle, right? So I had this setup here, and then it broke, and then once again it's just continuing higher here. It's had a nice little run here, BCOR. So just to get your eyes, some of these names aren't really entry points at this point in time. They're just showing the pattern, so you guys, the more charts you look at, the more patterns, the better your eyes are going to get at spotting these things. So that's why I try to show as many as possible. BLOZF is a weed play here. This is another one that was on our watch list, and through this 50 spot, which was the level I was watching here for a breakout, and then it broke out on big volume, you know, spike, boom. Second day continuation, had a nice run, and basically broke above this recent high over here too. So once again, another weed play here. I think it's a Canadian one, but you can see here how this thing, you know, broke out through here and had a very nice three-day run. I traded this one back here on this right here, and I actually caught this 2 days here back when this thing was running back here. I was watching it as it was consolidating because it still looked constructive here, but I did miss this. I didn't get to trade it. Took my eyes off it, and the reason why is because of all the domestic names had broken down and weren't showing anything, that I just kind of stopped watching the sector. But it turns out that the Canadian plays, you know, basically are still moving and still have some tradable breakouts. They haven't broke down, so it is what it is. Alrighty, let's see here. Let's go to Enoch. This one has a nice little flag pattern here through the 620 spot. So this one, I really like this one here. It's basically range bound in this tight range here. So if this one, you know, a breakout through the 620 would be a trigger to go long here. This one looks good. EPM, an oil play. Be watching this spot here right around 850. Looks like it might want to break through this recent high of 850 potentially next week. So this one will keep on watch, EPM. Let's see, HDSN. This is another one here I wanted to show. You know, here was our breakout, okay? And then you can kind of use this rising trend line here as your support. And you can see here it broke out and had, you know, a nice 4-day run since then. It looks like it's pulling back a little bit now. We're consolidating, which is normal after, you know, basically a 3, 4, 5, 6, 7-day run. So this one probably consolidates up here, maybe pulls back, and then, you know, maybe it'll set up again for another trade. And this, once again, this was one from our watch list from last week or the week before. Okay, HZN. I don't know why this chart looks good, but for whatever reason, E-Trade Pro doesn't show the chart, so we'll skip that one. I want to show LNTH here. LNTH was a stock that I entered and took a loss on this past week. So it had a breakout here, which was my entry, basically through 10 bucks, and I held it for a swing. Let's see here. So basically, let's see, it's 50. But anyway, basically through this $10 spot on this, it looked good to me, and so I entered it for a swing, and you know, I actually you know, held this thing, and then it gapped down here and had a public offering. They offered shares, and it gapped down. So, you know, that stuff happens sometimes when you're stocks. There's nothing you can do about it except just get out of the position, take the loss, and move on. Sitting on a loser is mentally, it drains your capital, and then, you know, where your money could be working somewhere else in a stock that's actually working. So, you know, I cut this one, and that's the way it is. It just happens sometimes, and you just move on. But that's just something you can't control. When you're swing trading, it just happens sometimes. So LNTH was a loser from last week. Let's see here. MOBL, this was also on our watch list here on this breakout through 4. Just to get you guys, you know, so you can see the pattern here. You know, here was the flag, breakout and consolidation, put in this recent high of 4, and it ran back up. And so you basically can kind of use this trend line here as your risk level. And you know, it basically broke out through 4, held above it for a few days, and then continued on. So this one looks like it's still in an uptrend here. And you know, if you're in it, you can use this risk level here, this lower trend line, as your risk for a stop out. Let's see here. This right here. So last weekend there was a question about these banking stocks, and they had a nice 3-day run, and they looked extended. And my opinion was that, you know, wait for them to either pull back for a day or two, or set up, you know, because they looked extended. I thought they were going to pull back, and a lot of them did. And so this one actually looks like it's heading higher. Had a 1-day red day, and then it just recently perked up and looks like it's about to break out through its recent highs. And this is just one of the many of the bank stocks. So NFBK, I think these bank stocks are heading higher. I like the banks. Let's see here. This is another bank, and so just think about it, right? You know, big breakout, 2 days, and then you buy it. Let's just say that you chase up here and you buy it, and then you have to sit through these 3 or 4 days of pullback. You know, that mentally, that's draining because you entered and you're immediately at a loss. So my opinion is to wait for these things to pull back, start to reverse, and as I break through the recent highs and perk back up, that's your trigger. That's what this one looks like it's going to do, is reverse and head back north again. This is a bank stock, and you're seeing similar patterns like this across the banking sector. So there's PTSB. Let's see, I think there's a, let's see, another bank. So once again, you know, look at this pattern. You have the break, the pullback, and then the breakout through the recent high. There's your trigger, and this one got extended, pulled back for a couple days, and now it's ramping back up. So as this one ramps back up, it's probably going to break through these recent highs here, and that's what you're looking for this one. Another bank stock that looks like it's ready to make new highs and break out to new highs here. So let's see what else. ZIOP. So ZIOP had a nice breakout through the solid support level of $6, okay? And if you pull it back even further, you can see how important this $6 is, you know, as a support. So this one had a very nice breakout, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6-day run, and now it's pulling all the way back towards this breakout level. So if this thing can get down around $6 a share, somewhere in the, you know, maybe even $6.20, somewhere in there, it'd be a good entry point for a breakout pullback setup, because this support level is so important, and it's you know, as it broke through that, if it comes anywhere near that, it gets back to that level, that'd be a great entry for a breakout pullback setup, for a nice bounce off of that spot. So this is one I'm watching for a breakout pullback. ZIOP. Let's see what else. NDRM. This is another one setting up potential breakout pullback setup. So here's the breakout here, clear resistance through 19, and it had a very nice breakout. And you know, Friday it pulled all the way back. Let's see. So here's 19 right in here, and this one pulled all the way back to 1920. So you know, is it gonna go all the way back to 19? I'm not sure, but anywhere, you know, 1920 would have been a good entry. You know, somewhere on this, anything, you know, close to this 19 level, it provides a good entry point. As long, you know, expecting this 19 as a solid support to hold and then continue higher and bounce off that level. So this is another one, potential breakout pullback, NDRM. It may not pull back any further. It may ramp up and then, you know, test this 20 spot on Monday, which would also be a buy trigger, but it looks like it's just flagging here, kind of consolidating after it broke out through 19. So as long as it holds above 19, this pattern still remains good, and NDRM still looks good. Let's see. So I wanted to talk real quick about DRYS. DRYS was a trade that I made, and I lost money on the trade. And I just wanted to kind of give my thoughts on this trade. So I hadn't traded this thing, but I did trade it. I tried to trade it on Thursday, and it was all the way down at like $16 a share. And I thought, well, you know, this thing has dropped from 100 all the way down to 16. I thought, well, maybe just for an intraday, I'll take 100 shares and see if this thing just give me a bounce, right? You know, $1.02 bounce as a day trade, and then sell it. And it just didn't. I mean, it faded all day and closed on the lows at $11. So I closed out my position around 13, so I lost, you know, a few $100 on the trade. But it's just not my trading style to do that. It's not, you know, trying to catch a bottom is like trying to catch a falling knife, and it's very dangerous and it's difficult. So, you know, basically I made a bad trade, and I wasn't following the trend, right? The trend is your friend. Always follow the trend. You know, on Friday it did actually have a bounce up to 20, but I was already out of it. But just to show you guys, I mean, you know, sometimes you'll make stupid plays, or you'll do things that you know are wrong, or you know you shouldn't do. And the best thing to do is just, you know, recognize that you're doing it and fix it, you know, because And oftentimes we'll do it knowing that it's the wrong thing to do, but and so we're human, we make mistakes. But you know, I lost a few hundred, but you know, it just reiterates the fact that sometimes we do things. But so I cut that one just to show you this is just a crazy stock. I didn't even trade any of it, you know, on the upside. So anyway, there's dries, and just want to talk about my mistake I made there on that one. Let's see, any other ones? Okay, last one we'll see is AMRN. AMRN is, this one probably should still be on the top watch list. It's got this spot here at around 350. You know, once, twice, 3 times. This one failed. Now it's at its 4th time. I think this one's going to go through 350. I really like this stock. I think it's a biotech or healthcare related. And I like this pattern. It's been basing for quite a while. So this one, I really like this one. If it can, you know, hold above the 350 level, I really like this one for a nice breakout here soon. So that's AMRN. And that's all I've got for today, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Lots of nice setups for next week. The market still looks strong to me. And as always, if you guys have any questions or charts you want me to look at or anything, videos, subjects you want me to do stuff on, just shoot me an email or on social media, and I'd be glad to cover it. All right, guys, have a great weekend, and we'll see you next week.